Last month, my business brought in over $150,000, and I play tennis, help out with my kids' activities, and volunteer in my community. I attribute much of this success to a specific model that I follow to structure my week. And if your brain just said, okay, well, she just has more time than I do, that's exactly the story that I want to talk to you about today, because that not enough time problem is almost never what it seems. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to find and protect the time you need to get started without quitting your job, burning out, or overhauling your entire life. And before we dive in, I have a free resource called 30 Days to Clients in the description. And it's the 4-week roadmap that I give to people when they're building while still in a current role. Week by week, it shows you exactly what to do, and most importantly, how much time each activity actually takes. So go grab it. The link is below, and let's get started. So here's what I see happening so often. Someone has been thinking about making a move for months, and they know there's a business that they want to do. They do the research, maybe they've watched YouTube videos, and then nothing happens. The job, the family, the inbox, the unexpected crisis, the 100 things that feel urgent and important, and honestly, a lot of them actually are. So they tell themselves, I'll start when things slow down, or I'll figure this out over the holidays, or once this project wraps up, I'll have more bandwidth. But we all know that things never slow down. The bandwidth does not appear. Most of the time, what we call a time problem is actually a priority problem. And the fix for this is not some new notebook or productivity app. The fix goes way deeper than that. I found this out about 10 years ago myself. I tore down a business I had built and completely started over. I was starting from scratch with 2 young kids and a very short runway to make an income. So I had to get started fast. The result was I got ruthless about time in a way that I never had before. And in doing that, here's what I discovered. I actually didn't have a time shortage. I had a clarity shortage. From there, I built the business that I have today, all while taking care of myself, having a 3rd child during the pandemic, and navigating all of life's distractions and challenges. So I'm about to share with you the system that I'd build if I was starting over today with a full-time job in 6 to 12 months to replace that income. Let's go. The first step is you're going to want to audit your time for a week. So before you change anything, you need to know what you're working with. So I'm going to invite you to do something that might feel a little uncomfortable. For 1 week, track what you do in 30-minute increments. Not necessarily what you plan to do, but what you actually did. I've done this myself, and it is one of the most clarifying and humbling things that you can do when it comes to managing your time. At the end of the week, categorize your time with work or family or sleep or health and everything else. And you'll see usually immediately where the hours are actually going. For most people, there are 5 to 10 hours a week that aren't going towards anything that they can consciously choose. They might be scrolling or even doom scrolling or going down industry rabbit holes that feel productive but aren't. And here's what's also really helpful to know. You don't need 20 hours a week to get started in business, especially if you follow my model for building an advisory practice first. When you do that, you only need 1 or 2 or even 3 clients, not 3,000 followers that takes years to build. Step 2 is decide how you're going to spend your time in advance. You don't schedule your priorities around your life, you schedule your life around your biggest priorities. So this is how it works. Once a week, and I do this on Sundays, you need to empty your brain of everything you think you need to do and give each item a realistic time estimate and put it in your calendar. Then, and this is the hard part, I want you to throw that to-do list away. The last part is key because once the list is gone, the calendar is the commitment. So when you sit down to plan your week, here's what goes in first. Your sleep and your self-care and your family time, all of those are non-negotiable. And then before anything else fills the gaps, you want to put in your recovery, the workouts and the walk and the meditation time, whatever keeps you mentally sharp and physically strong. I know that sounds kind of backwards to people who are used to squeezing in self-care wherever it fits, but I've learned through a lot of trial and error that recovery isn't a reward for getting everything else done. It is the infrastructure that makes getting everything else done possible. After those blocks are in, you'll see what's left. You'll pick 2 or 3 focus blocks per week that belong to building your business, and you will treat those hours like a $10,000 an hour client call. That's your protected time. And here's what's funny. As soon as you do it, I promise you, you will be tested. You'll put in a 2 or 3 hour time block first thing in the morning, and then the night before, one of your kids kept you up because he or she wasn't feeling well. Or you'll have a time block to do outreach, and then a friend will ask you if you can have lunch during that time. This happens to me every single week after I time block. It's inevitable. And I stay as committed to those time blocks as if I had an appointment with the queen, because I kind of do. She's me. Step 3 is to just accept the trade-offs. This is the part that so few people talk about, and it's the part that actually determines whether or not all of this works. Because building something new while maintaining something else is always going to require trade-offs. So for example, we're in a heavy building phase right now in my company. I'm creating AI agents and then installing them for our students. And at the same time, I was heavily recruited just a few weeks ago to be the PTO president for my kids' elementary school, which I love. And after digging in and learning more about the role, I had to say no. This was extremely painful because I felt like I was letting people down who I respect, teachers and administrators and leaders who have been amazing for my children. But I knew it wasn't the right time for me to take it on. Sometimes for me, it looks like not socializing on the sidelines of every baseball game because I just need a little quiet time. And sometimes when my mom friends talk about all the Netflix shows that they watch, I unfortunately have absolutely nothing to contribute because I don't watch TV or Netflix. So I thought it might be helpful to you if I share with you a list of things that I personally say no to in this season. Social events with people that I don't have a deep connection with and I don't see myself being close to long term. Volunteer time and commitments where I'm giving up my hours versus contributing financially or intellectually. Saying yes to in-person commitments that don't move the needle. Traveling to be away for family or work, or events that cost me time without a real ROI. I am extremely particular about what my yeses and nos are, and most of the time when I'm asked to do something, unfortunately, my answer is no. So for many of us, the real question isn't, do I have the time? It's, am I willing to make this decision? Am I willing to say no and own it without guilt? When the answer is yes, I promise you, the time appears. So here's what changes when you apply the principles that I just shared with you today. You stop waiting for a clear runway of time that's honestly never going to appear. You stop feeling behind because you haven't started yet. And you stop treating your own priorities as optional and everybody else's priorities for you as mandatory. And instead, you start moving and you make progress. So that's my whole system. I told you it's not complicated. It's just incredibly uncommon. So here's what I want to leave you with. You are never going to find the time to get started. You have to make it. And you make it by deciding, really deciding, that what you're building is worth the trade. So this video is your permission slip to update your plan. You're allowed to decide that something else is possible. And if you're ready to stop waiting and start building, grab that 30 days to clients through the link in the description. It's designed for exactly this situation. Somebody with a full-time role, limited time, real expertise, and that small window to get their first client. And if you like this video, I think you're going to love this next one about how to build a $10,000 a month business without needing an audience first. I'll see you over there.